Warning, this show contains adult language, so viewer and listener discretion is advised. Welcome to another edition of Up and In It. I'm your host, Adrian Babashoff. If you're new here, welcome as well. And if you're wondering what the show is about, it's entirely dedicated to improving quality of life for both people and planet through liberation and independence, moving you from surviving to thriving and living life raw. Today's episode 184, 185, Perspective of Human Diseases. And today's inspiration is the second person I've met in 1 week with cancer. And I know this is not quite the most popular, dialogue amongst us people, but I know that it's something that we're all worried about, right? I know it's definitely something that I'm worried about, diabetes and all kinds of different things like, high blood pressure, which I suffer from. And I have remedies to fix that. My blood pressure goes up and down. So I'm very I'm very interested to see what is going on beyond the Western medicine, meaning doctors, what is going on with holistic health and things like that. And when I've done this research, especially for my special needs daughter, her body's a little got different makeup than the most of us. So certain foods, allergies, and things like that. So it's something I'm very much into. And passing by and meeting people with cancers just really freaks me out. So it really makes me more concerned, though, like what is going on? And especially when you stumble across things like Gerson Therapy, which I've mentioned a lot on the show. And the reason I do is they have a 95% success rate of healing people from cancer, diabetes, and all kinds of other ailments and sicknesses. So when you hear stuff like that, it's like, it might warrant us, to kind of pay attention to these things, because obviously Western medicine doesn't have nearly the numbers that does. So I'm not here to say I have all the answers for human diseases and things like that, but I have found a lot of interesting stuff, and that's what I want to share with you guys today. So let's look at the first one on my notes, which is toxins. Forgive me, by the way, I'm on my work commute. That's the background noise you're hearing. It's my 7.3 96 F350 pickup truck diesel, so it's really loud, and I'm towing a big old trailer behind me, so it's kind of shaky. But yeah, let's talk about toxins. So from what I gathered and what makes sense to me, because you see a lot of this, it's not like I take it and I'm like, oh, this is the end-all of end-all. It just makes sense. So try this dress on for a day. The human body is designed to expel toxins, right? There's toxins all the time in foods we eat. It's very interesting for me, like things like spinach. If I grow a lot of my own food, for those of you who don't know I'm not vegan or vegetarian. I eat both. But what's interesting is when you start putting a lot of this raw stuff in your mouth, and spinach, for instance, will coat my mouth, and I'll swallow a lot of this spinach. And sometimes I pretend like this is all I got to eat. Or sometimes I look and I go, I want to be healthy, so I want to consume more raw vegetables. They're supposed to be healthy for you. Well, what happens is that my mouth gets all coated. And I've heard a couple other people say this too. It's not really quite pleasant. So this plant has basically got some sort of protective toxin in it, or something in it so that something stops eating it, right? Everything wants to live. And so if you do an experiment and you just start eating things like raw kale and that, you'll start feeling your stomach, your body, your intuitiveness will come out and go, you know what? I think that's enough of that. That's, my mouth's feeling weird, my tummy's feeling weird. So even in the plant life, I guess is what my thoughts are. I mean, you start going down this rabbit hole of health. There's like, don't eat tomato seeds. There's a guy on there with white hair. I can't remember who the fuck he is. Like, he's saying something like, yeah, these are the things, they have like toxins in them, and this is what'll cause cancer and shit like that. I'm like, wow. So meats, yeah, you never know what to. But the bottom line is that there's toxins, and there's your skin is the largest organ that you have on your body. An organ, for those who don't know, for all us dropouts, is just like your heart, your lungs, and everything. Like your skin's the largest organ, and it whatever's around it in the air, whatever kind of gases, fluids, dust particles, anything, it's absorbing things. So just living, with vehicles, exhausts and stuff like that, jet fuel falling from the sky, and your body's absorbing toxins. So the body is meant to be able to fight off these toxins, in my belief. These are all just my opinions. So what the body isn't able to do is handle a weak immune system. So what happens is we're going to get into bacteria next year. What happens is, as soon as we're born, one of the things the holistic people say is to have a lot of contact with your baby. to give your newborn baby when it comes out of the mother's womb lots of different bacteria. You want to expose it to as many as possible. Now, some of you might be saying, oh, what? Bacteria? For those of you who don't know, there is good and there is bad bacteria. You have anaerobic and you have aerobic. For instance, in your mouth, there's in between your teeth and your gums, there's bacteria in there that help digest food, and they do their part. They do things that probably I think we couldn't physically comprehend. Anaerobic things that don't like oxygen start to stink. And when you use such things as like a water pick, it's basically a jet stream of water. You put it in your mouth and it shoots all the food out of your gums. It's pretty disgusting. Reason why I'm sold on it is that the smell that comes out every once in a while, even after you floss, it's pretty gross. There's food, whether it's vegetables, meats, there's stuff stuck in those gums, and this flushes it out. And what happens is you can do an ozonizer, meaning what it does is it oxygenates water. It's dissolved oxygen. So it shoots this little bubbler like you have in a fish tank, and it'll do it for about 15 minutes. And what that does is fuses oxygen into the water, and when it hits the anaerobic, the bad bacteria, it literally kills them. So it's a theory, and I follow with it. If you ozonize and water pick your teeth, you'll keep a good balance of good bacteria instead of just bad. So we have bacteria. Science says that if we hollowed out each one of our legs, we just removed a leg from each other all the way to the hip, and you hollowed it out like a bucket, and we extracted, we separated, we segregated all the living bacteria that are inside your human body, even a healthy body, you would be able to fill up that leg with just bacteria. So that's how much we have going on. So again, when we're born, immediately we want to be exposed to bacteria so our immune systems could build up. There is some science backing of parasites, they say. The reason why, I started looking at intestinal parasites. Reason scientists believe, it's a theory, a hypothesis, is that we've survived so many things because of the parasites. Parasites have been found on asteroids, or not asteroids, they believe, possibly, but they date further back than human beings. So they have attached themselves to human beings, and these things are very fascinating. They take human antigens and they place them all over themselves, and these are parts of, basically, to make it simplified, parts of the human body. So when your immune system comes through, it's like a soldier, right? Like a sonar, like a scan, and it comes scanning over, and these parasites are full of these antigens, so when it gets scanned by your immune system, it goes, oh, that's one of us, we'll just leave it alone. But it's a devil disclosed as hiding as an angel. So yeah, getting into bacteria and toxins, our body, as long as we have a healthy immune system to fight off the toxins and bacteria and viruses and things like that, we're good. But it seems to me in life, as soon as we are born, anything on this planet is born, there's something trying to eat it, and that is bacteria, there's viruses, they all want to survive as well, so they're constantly attacking, and that's why our immune systems are so powerful and strong, because they've done this fight before. And those genetics get passed down, every time you mate and you have a child, just like plants and animals and everything living, it encodes it with memory and information, genetic DNA information to like, hey, look, we need to survive, so we got to we're gonna have to do some fighting, right? So they're all taught Taekwondo, So they go in your body, and toxins basically, when I look at disease, to me it's when like cancers and all of these things is when your immune system gets so weak. So toxins, when we start eating bad food, say laced with Roundup and all of these chemicals that they use, and being a person who grows their own food, it's completely frustrating right now. That's part of the inspiration for today's show too, is the aphids and the bugs and the stuff that are coming. They've almost wiped out my entire crop, so I've almost given up. But it opens my mind's eye to think of these things, to go, well, what the fuck are they doing in giant fields? Like, how the hell do they keep these bugs at bay? What are they doing, right? You can't have like 1 billion freaking arugula plants that got curled leaves, and the bugs are all in there. You're just like, well, I'll just let it go, We'll spray it with soapy water or neem oil, all natural. No, there's a whole entire thing that could be wiped out. By the way, I've never seen a year like this, and I think that could contribute to a food shortage, I wonder. Like, there's just years where, like the great locusts and stuff like that will come. Here in Sunnyside, California, the aphids, they're just bombing. There's like 2 to 3 different species, and they're just knocking the shit out of my garden. But anyways, back to the subject matter. yeah, your body, by smoking, drinking, I think stress is one of my notes on here. When you don't get enough rest, so you basically, and you're not healthy. And I also think um, about the vaccinations of things. People get vaccinated, and it's like their body never even had to fight. And it's kind of evident to me, it's a hypothesis, that your children get vaccinated, you got vaccinated. So that encoding, remember we were talking about, just a philosophy, don't get angry. Your body never had to fight. And that's why you'll see a lot of people get very, very sick. There's a lot of people who drink and smoke, and they live to be like, I don't know, some movie stars and stuff. There's one guy that's like 110 years old, some dude he was in the military, and he says he drinks a glass of whiskey, a shot of whiskey every day, he eats ice cream every day, and he has a puff of cigar every single day. And he says, because these things make me happy and they make me feel good. And he's old as fuck. So it comes to one day when your immune system is so weak that the bacteria or whatever it is takes over and your body slowly gives up, and things like cancer start to kill it. Once the cancer or the disease, whatever has you, then the bacteria move in and they start to decompose your body and takes you back to Earth, supposedly from where we've come from. So it's a biological warfare here. So I look at this with toxins, and I think that it's very wise for us to eat raw vegetables and things like that. I mean, I'm working on that for you guys as far as the toxins and everything. It's just so, it's a podcast all in and of itself. It's just crazy how even things that you think are healthy for you, when we start to really dive in, it's insane. So, but I'm saying that I think it is very healthy to prepare vegetables and meats and things like that, depending on your body type. But the biggest thing I think is, like, one of them, like I said, is stress. Is to live a lifestyle, to design something to where you're not as stressed out. And that's why I've done all the preparations that I have in my life. Right now is like a flux. I got the aphids eating my shit. My business, my construction business, which is my real job, is under attack. I don't nearly have as many climates at all. Like, it's getting really bad. Am I scared? No, I feel really good because I've prepared myself. I have food stored, I have water storage, I've got plenty of money in the bank, so I'm not really stressed out. I'm just kind of like concerned. But I can imagine a lot of people's lifestyles, the majority of people out there who are not simple living. By the way, I live in a tiny house, and I live a minimalist-ish kind of life, more like an essential kind of life. So a lot of things are very simple for me, and I don't really have that stress, but I know that the stress, and science do say that the stress is what kills, man. It constricts, it's like a silent killer. It constricts your blood vessels and things, and you just know it. When you're stressed out, you don't feel good, man. You don't think good. Everything gets messed up by stress. And I always say a lot on this show, my next one is mindset. And I think there's a lot of important shit that we are taught when we were children. Like one of mine I'm looking at is like, eat the skin, man. That's where all the vitamins are. And I don't know. I'm not saying that it isn't, but I'm like, oh yeah? Well, where the fuck did you hear that from? Huh? Where all the shits and the vitamins, all the nutrients in the skin? Most skins of things, last time I remember, like tomatoes, bell peppers, jalapenos, a lot of potatoes, things like that, they don't really taste good if you eat them on their own. They're actually most of the time, kind of bitter, and they're made to protect the fruit that's inside. So there's some sort of something to stop bugs and bacteria from eating them. And if we're eating just solely just the skin or incorporating in there, in my opinion anyways, I kind of wonder, I have my questions about that shit, so I'm not really buying into that. But beyond those kind of stupid things, there's a lot of stuff that's genetically and psychologically, I'd say, embedded into our minds when we're children. There's a wonderful fellow by the name of Bruce Lipton who talks about epigenetics, saying that genetics has nothing to do with health. If you take human cells and you separate them and put them in a petri dish and give them a good living environment, but you expose them all, the same cells, right? There's like 3.7 trillion cells that make up a human body. What this guy is saying is that when you separate these and put them in different environments, they do different things. They will start to develop. One will develop into fat. One will develop into meat, protein. One will develop into calcified, like bones and things like that. So they react differently according to which environment they're exposed to. Now, human cells make up everything, for those that don't know. And our thoughts. So basically what Bruce Lipton's come up with is the biology of belief. And what you believe determines your experience. What you believe determines the biology of your body. So stress and anxiety and a lot of different things, I think, are brought into childhood when you're young by things that your parents told you, doctors told you. You know, look at our what was the food pyramid? Breads and grains and milk. And my daughter's completely allergic to fucking milk, right? I'm allergic to milk. I'm not allergic to milk. I'm pasteurized intolerant. It makes me fucking fart up a fucking storm. Like, I could literally defend a country with my butthole. You know, give me a gallon of milk and I'll fucking lay out that shit. Nobody would be tired. I'll be crop dusting. You hear me? You feel me? You smell me? I know it's horrible. It's sick. Cheese, ice cream, and stuff like that. The Xbox, the ex-wife, same thing. But when I get raw milk, I'm completely fine. So I forgot where we're going with this, but mindset, I guess. Back on track here. What you're born with, sometimes I think that we have these things going on in our heads that just, my uncle had cancer, so I'm going to get cancer. It's genetically, there's all kinds of different things to look at, but I think it's very important that what you believe and how you feel in your body is going to determine what's going to happen with it. So, God damn, we're already going over time here. So that's the power of words I have. Interesting thing here is that I read a paper somewhere, for the life of me I can't find it, and they were saying that physical abuse, verbal abuse, the power of words now, we're talking about what you believe and things like that, basically proven by science that verbal abuse, by yelling at someone, you're a fucking loser, you're never going to make it, shut the fuck up, and just this negative stuff actually does more harm, to physical harm, than physical abuse. Punching someone in the face, by verbally abusing them, it really goes down and constricts the guts and everything else in the mind and makes the body very sad. So isn't this interesting? Just like very big, I've been into this for about a decade now, I believe, or 5 years, I can't remember, but water holds memory. Dr. Kyoto, I think it was, a Japanese scientist, where they yelled at water and then gave blessings to water. And they flash froze it, and they found that there was beautiful snowflakes. You know, they instantly froze the water after giving it blessings or yelling at it. Flash froze it. When you put it under a microscope, there's beautiful little crystals. And the ones that yelled at had gnarled crystals. They played like Hitler's speeches, and it made these gnarled crystals. They took holy water that was blessed by a church and had beautiful crystals. The intention, no matter where you're coming from, religion or whatever, your attention on what we're doing affects the body enormously. So I think, and love, I look at is the answer. It may sound kind of cliche, some sort of fucking John Lennon bullshit that, you know, but you know what? That's what I am. I'm kind of a hippie at heart. And I think that love, pure love, true love, not the fucking bullshit fake love that we have. Oh, I love you. No, you fucking don't. People throw that word around way too fucking much. And I don't mind it, I think it's great, but you need to use it with intention, as I said, when you're talking to the fucking water and you actually mean it. When you're talking to your body, when you're talking to your children, you need to make this come from a motive and a place in your heart that's pure and it's true, and you mean what you say. And that way, the biology of our bodies, the biology of belief, and these diseases and things with ultimate true spiritual comprehension of love in the dimension of which it really exists, and that we're accepting it, if that makes any sense, is the way that we can change molecular structure in our bodies, in my opinion, and be able to eradicate such things as disease. And you need to love yourself. I get goosebumps when I talk about this. You need to understand that you love yourself. Like, do you love yourself if you ask somebody, and watch them just kind of look for a second, you know? Well, yeah, you know, but you should know these things. You should have these things in yourself. You should appreciate yourself. How can you understand and love something else if you don't love yourself? And I think that all the things that I shared today in my book, living a lot less stress-free life, away from this fucked up system that we have that's running us and stressing us out and intoxifying the world and our bodies and ourselves and leaving this place bad. Let's work to make answers. Let's work to make things a lot better. Let's work on ourselves. Let's love ourselves. Let's love the animals, the plants, and everything, and have a deep found respect, as I says, on that spiritual Mary's molecular level in the biology of everything that is, to bring it all together and make peace on earth. That's the best message. That's what I got, guys. If you like this sort of thing, up and in it, you can find it on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and anywhere where they'll let me publish these things. If you guys really like this show, please comment, subscribe, whatever it is. The show's not really taking much momentum. We're on 2 years. I'm thinking about quitting. It takes a lot of work to do these things, but please comment. Let me know what you guys think about this stuff. Give me a middle finger, thumbs up, thumbs down. I don't give a fuck. I just want to know that you guys are out there. There's a pulse, right? So go out there and have yourself a near-life experience. Don't lose your muchness. Carry on the motherfucking fire. Human the fuck up. Live it, love it, and bone the shit out of it.